to our channel. This is Imelda from 3 Scrappy Sisters, and I have another scrapbook process video. It is a 12 by 12 layout that I have created using the March 2017 Felicity Jane kit. The kit is called Jane, and I have decided to call this layout Beautiful. I rarely scrapbook anything about myself. It's usually about my kids, as you have seen, sometimes about my dog, sometimes about my husband, very rarely about myself. So when I saw this kit, I knew that I wanted to do something girly, and when I saw this fussy cut piece of Jane, I knew that I wanted to incorporate possibly my sisters, only because Jane kind of looks like my sister Emma, and you guys are actually just getting probably your first real look at what the three of us look like. So these photos are of my sisters and I on New Year's of 2015 going into 2016. So this was New Year's last year. And the photo on the right is the close-up one is of me, my sister Linda, and my sister Emma. So I just started by going through the kit, and I didn't want to include just me kind of flipping through the pattern papers, but I didn't really have a direction in which I wanted to take this layout with in the beginning. I started by going through the pattern papers and seeing what I liked. I thought I wanted to use the gold doily just because it is so beautiful, and it is a heart, and I love my sisters. But I decided against that only just because I couldn't figure out how to make it work. So here I just matted my photos on white cardstock to start with, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to layer under them. I don't end up layering any pattern pieces under them. I did try the Project Life cut apart sheet, but I didn't want to take away the focus from the picture. I decided that I wanted to print the picture in not necessarily full color, but not black and white. I did put a filter on it. I'm not exactly sure what filter it was, but I adjusted it in my Pic Collage app. So I decided instead that I would just leave the background white, and I'm going to focus on clustering my wood veneer pieces and the cutouts and ephemera pieces. So I went through the wood veneer pack, and this Beautiful came out, and I just loved it, and I thought that I would incorporate this as my title since my sisters are beautiful, and I feel like we have a pretty beautiful relationship as it is. So I thought that it was just perfect. You will notice that we do all look wonderful in both of these photos, except for the photo on the right, where I am making quite a silly face. And I think this is pretty typical of my sisters and I. Usually every photo that we take together, there is somebody who is making a silly face. It's usually myself or Linda who end up taking a photo making a silly face. And when we do so, everybody else looks perfect, and then we just have a laugh of everybody seems to not like the photo unless somebody else is making a silly face. Then that person doesn't like the photo, and then they like themselves in that photo. So it seems like we can't agree on when we're all going to make a silly face. So we take turns and we just make silly faces. So I pulled out this branding strip, the green with the floral, and I just set that under my photos. And I also used the black washi piece with the white hearts, which I absolutely love. I tried to use it in the last layout and it didn't work out, so I knew that I wanted to incorporate some of the washi in this layout. So I am just going to pop the photo of the better photo, where we're all actually smiling, on some foam just to give that photo a bit of focus. And I knew that I had to have a cluster of those flowers between the two photos, only because one of the photos has a Pic Collage watermark on it, and I wanted to hide that. So I didn't even talk about this. I added some texture paste. It is a Liquitex texture paste with some natural grit in it. And I got it on sale at Michael's for $10. So I just used a heart stencil that I created myself with just a regular repeated heart cut file that I had shrunk down in my Silhouette software, and then I just cut into some laminating plastic. Let me know if you want to see a video of how I do create my stencils. It's pretty simple. If you have a laminating machine, you just buy laminating sheets, and then you just use that to make a stencil. So I put the texture paste through that stencil into the background, and as I was letting it dry, I kind of laid my layout out on a blank piece of paper, just so that I knew where I wanted to have my clusters. And then when I was happy with that and the texture paste was dry, I moved it onto the sheet that I used in the end. So I am just going to cluster here and there. I really liked keeping these florals together. I wanted to pair the colored one with the wood grain one, just because I like the contrast that that gives, and it was almost like they were matching in size, and I really liked that. So it was like their opposite or their partner kind of thing. So I am just using this little ticket, the pink, just for color, not really any other reason. And I did use the bow just to cover up the word ticket, just because it didn't really go with the photos, but I did want it just for that little pop of pink. I did add a doily from my stash. I forgot to add it in behind, and then I had already adhered my photo down, so I just cut it and added it just behind as far as it would go, so that I wouldn't have to rip it up and I wouldn't have to use an entire doily. You can see the piece that I had left, that was left over, off to the right. So here I have some gold, I wouldn't call them sequins, they're gold, okay, let's just call them sequins. They're gold heart sequins, for the lack of a better word. And I thought I wanted to add them, but they didn't really go with the direction I was going into, only because I hadn't added any gold yet. I did end up adding some gold Heidi Swap Color Shine in the end, but it's a completely different tone of gold than what the hearts were, so I took them out. Here I'm just adding a little piece of that washi that was left over from the piece that I added to the bottom of the layout, and I just added it to the top just to kind of tie everything together. This is pretty much my layout. At this point, I'm thinking that I want to trim the white sheet down so that I can back it onto something else. And I decided to go with this light gray until I gutted the center of it and flipped it over and realized that it had a darker gray on the back, which I liked much better just because it went with the sort of faded black of the washi. So I do end up matting my layout on the darker side of this paper, which I really like better. I didn't want to incorporate more textures because I already incorporated the texture paste in the background, as well as the layers and the texture of the wood grain and the paper. So I am just going to adhere it down with my ATG, and I'm not going to machine stitch. I'm just going to add some gold Heidi Swap Color Shine, some splatters here and there, and that will basically be my layout. I'm going to add some Tim Holtz small word phrase stickers, and other than the Heidi Swap Color Shine, the doily, and the phrase stickers, everything else came from the kit, which I really love to do. I feel like a kit definitely helps you focus your idea, and it does all the coordinating for you. I used to kind of separate my kits and just place them into my stash, and then I had a really hard time trying to coordinate what goes together. I just felt so overwhelmed. So I really suggest just keeping your kits together for a while, working from that, and then kind of when you're finished with the kit, breaking it all down with what you're left over into your stash. So at this point, I am just going to adhere my title, and then I think that I'm done. I think I end up waving goodbye, and then I turned off the camera, and I felt like something was missing. There was just a little bit of something that I wanted to add. So I do end up taking out my stamps and stamping on a separate sheet of paper, just the way I had done before with my previous layout, and fussy cutting those shapes. I wanted to add a little bit more of the black, so I do go ahead and do that. I'm just gluing this word sticker down only because it wasn't sticking very well to the texture paste. So there's my wave, and I come back, and I just wanted to add a little bit more detail. So I did end up using the heart bunting stamp as well as the white heart on black stamp, or the white heart with a whatever color you want to stamp in background. So I'm just going to add those, and that will complete my layout. I really want to say thank you so much to all of your thumbs up. To those of you who have commented, thank you so much for commenting. And again, thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you again on the next video. Hope you have a good day, and we'll see you next time. Bye!